Canada has one final friendly before their Copa America campaign, and they are taking on France, the second-ranked nation in Bordeaux. It's a fantastic opportunity to bounce back from that 4-0 loss against the Netherlands. So in today's preview, we will take a look at what some of the lessons are that hopefully Canada learned, how Jesse Marsch could potentially change that, what the starting 11 could be. I'll give you my prediction. So hopefully you guys are excited, and if you are, let's get into the episode now. Let's start this preview with the lessons we learned from that Netherlands loss, because we had a fantastic start. We saw all of the good things that Jesse Marsch could bring to this national team. His philosophy was working, this Canadian side was pressing. It was a really even match in that first half, and I think it was really frustrating, that Netherlands side. And considering that a lot of these players, especially at the back, have never played together before, because this is a new system, a newly formed back line, it was really positive. Good opportunity for Dane St. Clair as well. Everything went so well, and this looked really promising. The issue was, for me, the biggest issue, and I don't know how Jesse's going to change this, is that they could not maintain that press. It completely fell off in the second half, and because it did, it had a ripple effect. The midfield was exposed, the defenders were as well, the wide players just weren't up to par, especially because that's supposed to be where we're strong. Dane made some mistakes, it all just kind of fell apart, and it's the reason that the Netherlands dropped 4 on us in the second half. So my biggest question mark, and I want to know what Jesse will do, is how do you address that? Do you change the way that your team is going to press so you can sustain it longer in the second half? You're going to make more substitutions potentially? Are you not going to play that way? I don't think that's what Jesse's going to do, because he wants to play. This is his philosophy. Is it a little naive to maybe take that philosophy and not really change it against a top nation like the Netherlands? Because I would only imagine that France will be worse. So that is my biggest question mark, is how will he change that, and how will he be able to make it so this national team doesn't run out of steam and can continue with this type of performance in the second half? My next big question is, will Jesse Marsch change the way this team is marking? Right now they're doing man-to-man, and they got burned on that a few different times. Zonal marking is an option, but if we're looking at two big questions around Jesse Marsch, is will he change his philosophy, even though it didn't really work that well in the Netherlands? This team couldn't maintain it. Is it a fitness issue? We don't know. But it's also the marking, and will he change it and try to adapt to it for the France match, or will he push through and be like, no, this is the way I want to play. It's okay that we lost 4-0. It's a friendly. We will learn from it. We will change the way we press. We will try to find a way to conserve our energy, to spread it through the match, and we will get better at man-to-man marking. We will. That is, it's one or the other, and I'm curious, and just from what I understand about Jesse, I have a feeling that he will just try to work on that. I don't expect man-to-man marking to change. I'm expecting him to talk to some of the players that struggled. Alistair Johnson was a big one. Davies you could throw in there, and Derek Cornelius, and try to get them to understand what went wrong and how to learn from that. And I still don't really expect the pressing in the way that he wants to play to change, but he might alter it a little bit, and maybe that goes into the starting 11 I'm going to build later. But that's another big issue that we had against the Netherlands, and if we don't change it or don't learn from it, it's going to be a big issue against France. There are some players I think it's worth keeping an eye on leading into this France match. The first one is Dane St. Clair. I was very surprised to see him actually start this match. I thought Crépeau was just the guy to go forward. They're probably very similar keepers. Crépeau's an excellent shot stopper and better with the ball at his feet, which I thought would have given him the advantage. But Jesse went with his best 11 in his eyes, and Dane was in net, which I think was a big call. Unfortunately for him, he had a really strong first half, and the second just fell apart. He let in 2 goals that I believe were his fault. He was bailed out a couple times by defenders, Cornelius in that first half. I think you could really question his positioning, and I just think overall, when you're looking to be the guy and 2 keepers that are battling so close like these two, a performance like this doesn't really do enough, although I do think the score could have been worse because he made some big saves. Leading into the France match, I think Crépeau will get this opportunity, and then Jesse will have to take a look at the performances, how these keepers gel with their back 4, and then make a decision ahead of Argentina. The second player to keep an eye on is Alphonso Davies. Now, I thought Davies had a solid first half. I didn't have any issues. I thought that back 4 looked comfortable. Cornelius, with this high line, his speed was always going to be an issue, but with Davies beside you at left back, Bombito and his speed in the center back, we've seen a couple of different recovery runs from Bombito and Davies, and it really looked like this back 4 could gel together. And again, everything really fell apart in that second half. Davies at times relied on his speed, and everyone's kind of blaming him for Frimpong's goal in that match. I thought he trusted himself to get back with that speed, and he actually made the block. It's just unfortunate it bounced right back and Frimpong scored, but there were other issues with Davies game, and I mean, I think Jesse does want him further up the pitch anyway, so I think that it might be worth trying it here. I don't think Jesse will go away from the 4-2-2. It just doesn't seem like his character. He doesn't want to just try something like, you know, once and then completely go away. He believes in what he's doing. I believe the 4-2-2 will still be the answer. The team will adapt differently to France than they will the Netherlands, but I do think he will go with that system, which means that Davies, if he pushes up, will go into that left mid position and open up an opportunity at left back. And I'm leaning towards someone like maybe a Kamal Miller. I've mentioned Hebert a lot. However, Kamal definitely has more experience with some of these players, which could maybe go a long way. He's played left back for the national team before. He's got speed. He brings a little bit more of a defensive stability to the back line, and I think that could be an option and definitely another player to keep an eye on. The final player I think will find his way out of the starting 11 could be Kyle Larin. Larin and David, I thought both were very, very quiet. I thought David had a better first half than Larin. Second half, they both were very quiet. Larin did have the big chance in the first half, which he missed. You kind of expect him to bury that. And I mean, in terms of pressing and keeping up that tempo, I mean, Kyle Larin really, really fell off. And I think that's what's going to hurt Larin the most. David has an engine. He can press. I know he couldn't fully keep the tempo up, but I wasn't looking out of the two strikers at David being the biggest issue of the two. Larin completely fell off. I don't think he's made for this system, and that was a huge issue leading into this when everyone was projecting what starting 11s could look like. It's the reason I didn't have Kyle Larin in any of mine. I did a 4-2-2. I did a 4-2-3-1. Larin didn't find my way in, and I think that second half showed reasons why he may struggle in Jesse Marsch's system. He's just not really built for it, which means if you do play this 4-2-2, Ike Ugbo, who pressed and did it very well with Sheffield Wednesday and is used to playing in somewhat of a similar system, I think would definitely be a better option. I don't mind the 4-2-3-1. I don't think Jesse Marsch will do that, but that would open an opportunity for a Chouanière, someone who can also press, has energy, is an engine in there as well. I mean, you could put Piet in and then push Kone up as well. Although, like I said, I don't think he's going to go with the 4-2-2. But unfortunately for Kyle Larin, I don't think he's a lock to start against France. So what should Jesse Marsch do? Now, I'm a little torn on this because I can see both sides, but I think I want to see him continue trying to grow and implement his philosophy. He has not had a ton of time with this national team right now. Any experience he had before the Netherlands match came from training sessions. Now he has some sample sizes to kind of pick from. A very nice looking first half, a terrible second half. Why didn't it work out? Why did the pressing fall off? Why did the tempo fall off? How can I adjust that? I don't want to see him walk away from the philosophy and the reason he got hired. Implement that, tweak it a little bit to obviously match your opponent like France, and try to figure out a way that this team won't burn out the way they did, because that fall off literally could be studied. It was just so drastically different. I wouldn't be against, obviously, working on your man marking. If you want to switch to zonal, I would not be against that. Work on set pieces. Those are just little things that we can do, but he doesn't have a lot of time to try to get it right. So there's no point of ripping the whole script up and trying something new, which I don't think he will do. It's just actually taking a sample size now and trying to learn from it. So how could that maybe impact the starting 11? Well, we'll take a look at some of the players I talked about and maybe some strategy that I think he may do. I don't think he's going to veer away from the 4-2-2. Like I said, he hasn't had a lot of time. This is the system he's going with. It makes sense in a way to the players that we have, but there's definitely going to be some players that fall out of the starting 11 just in terms of rotation, but also in terms of their performances. So for me, the keeper will be Maxime Crépeau. I don't think, unfortunately, Dane did enough to deserve it. I think Crépeau will get this match, and then Jesse will make a decision for Copa America. For right back, I'm going with Alistair Johnston. Larea is not healthy enough to start, and Zator did himself no favors. I think Johnson can do it and hopefully have a better showing, although with Mbappe on the other side, if he plays on the left, it will also be difficult. The two center backs, I would keep them. Bombito, Cornelius. It was tough. I mean, it's hard to look at your center backs and be like, yeah, they played great in a 4-0 loss, but I think they are our center backs to go forward. So did they struggle at times? Yes, but I think it's worth giving them another shot. Left back is where I make my first change. I'm putting in Kamal Miller. Adds a little bit more defensive stability at the back. Like I said, he's quick. He's played left back. It can almost create a back three at times if you allow Johnston to go forward, or just for more coverage if Davies even needs to drop a little bit, because this France match, I would imagine, could be even more difficult than the Netherlands match, and I think Kamal Miller, used to playing with some of these players, I think that can only help. Moving on to the midfield four, the two defensive midfielders will still be Kone and Eustachio. I don't think it'd be wise to throw Piet in. I didn't think, looking at any of the goals, that you're looking at this midfield two and saying it's your fault. I thought Kone did well defensively. I think these are your players going forward, and I just don't know if Piet is the answer for that. At wide, you have Tajon Buchanan, who I will give another opportunity to. He had a tough match as well with Johnston. I would still start him. He's a quality player. I would maybe even be looking at a Hoylett, maybe even a Chouanier. I think Chouanier could add something at wide where he could obviously tuck in at times as well. Really good at pressing, but again, we're going up against France. I still go with your best off the get-go, and this 11 did have a good performance against Netherlands, so I still, in that first half, so I would go with them again. Then you push Davies up to left mid, which is where we kind of expected him to go anyways. And then the front two, I wouldn't be against the idea of seeing David and Ugbo. Laren is one I would drop out for sure. Again, I think this could be a sneaky partnership up front. I kind of wish that we go to a 4-2-3-1 and Chouanier could go in there, or even a Hoylett could drop in and just add something different, but I don't think he's going to do that. I think he will keep two strikers. You have Bear as an option as well, which would be really nice to see him come on and get some minutes, but I would go Ugbo and David and just hope that the legs hold up. I mean, maybe you got to make some more substitutions. That's not a ton from the Netherlands match, but for me, it still gives your best players continue to try to build chemistry, which is why Bombito and Cornelius, for me, was important to keep together, but you make changes that I think are necessary to try to grow on what you've already kind of done, but also be able to compete with France, which is going to be difficult. So let me know, what did you think about my starting 11? Did you like it? Would you make any changes? And also let me know, if you were Jesse Marsch, what would you do to get the best out of this starting 11 so we don't see them completely fall apart again? That's all for this preview. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and see you guys soon. Cheers, friends!